Hi, everyone. It's BJ Roach from the Maine Career Center. I am here today. I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Jason Judd from Educate Maine. He is the executive director. So welcome, Jason. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you for a few minutes about what's happening over the next couple of months with students and employers.
Absolutely. So we'll just start right off. First question, can you tell us about Educate Maine? So what is your mission? Who do you partner with? And how does that impact students in the state of Maine?
Happy to. I'm always happy to talk about Educate Maine. So we're a business-led education nonprofit. We're a small nonprofit that works statewide, so all 16 counties. And really our mission is to increase education attainment across the system. So from birth through adulthood, what we care about is people being able to continue their educational journey and then get matched with a great job here in Maine or outside of Maine after that educational experience. So we do a lot of work in all parts of the education system and run a number of programs that help young people develop their career readiness skills and actually get matched with high quality employment. And it's really exciting work. We work with so many different higher education institutions, so many different employers, K-12 schools, but overall, always with the mission of helping them on their educational path, leading to a great job that they're ready for, excited about, and can serve, so that they can raise their families and really have a high quality of life here in Maine. Much of that work, because we're a small nonprofit, is done through partnership. So a lot of other organizations that many of you students probably are aware of, we partner really closely with. So one of those is Live and Work in Maine, which I know has a presence on the University of Maine campus, because they have a similar mission, and they want to make sure that students know all about the great opportunities that are here. So we partner with them really closely on a number of our programs to get the word out on great opportunities here. We work really closely with folks like the Maine State Chamber of Commerce, because obviously they're an employer-led organization as well. And so we work really closely on education and workforce initiatives, like things like, how do we make college affordable? How do we make sure more people can access education, finish their degrees, be successful, et cetera. So most of our work is actually through partnership. We don't do much completely on our own, because we're more of a collaborator and convener of a whole variety of different organizations working together. So you might see us on campus helping out with a job or an internship fair. You might see us working closely with the career staff to bring in different employers to learn about the University of Maine. You might even see us helping out with mock interviews or resume reviews, things like that, just to have a different set of eyes of staff that work closely with employers. So our goal is to support career services, support employers, and make sure you folks know all about the opportunities that are available here in Maine.
Wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about some of the changes that you've seen with all of the recent COVID-19 unfolding?
Yeah, I think each week's a little bit different, and we've seen a number of changes. I mean, the great thing is that everyone's been so resilient kind of through this whole process. Everybody's life has changed, but everyone's adapted and is trying to work really hard and be as successful as they can. So obviously, many folks in the higher education institution have gone to remote learning and continue to be engaged in their coursework, which is great. What we're seeing on the employer end is basically the same thing. Instead of remote learning, they're doing remote working. Also a lot of learning along the way and getting set up for, in many of the occupations and employers we work with, kind of getting set up with the remote offices in their homes and kind of being forced into working remotely, which is actually, I think, an opportunity for us to move forward. I think it actually has opened up the eyes of a lot of employers on the power of remote work. And then the other piece that we're seeing is particular occupations, particular companies, still have to kind of move ahead with their work exactly the same as before COVID. We're seeing that in healthcare, we're seeing that in transportation and construction, and it's just really humbling to see people that are willing to keep working so those of folks like me who can work remotely are supported and safe moving forward. I think, we have seen a lot of changes, and we've been doing our best to make sure those employers that we work with are communicating really closely with college students, whether they're in the middle of an internship or they're getting ready for an internship in the summer or fall, just really making sure that even if there's some uncertainty, that that employer is communicating really closely about um, their priorities moving forward, kind of where they are when they're going to be making decisions, and being honest about that. I do think overall, after this is all done, in terms of the immediate emergency, we're going to see a lot of innovation, and I'm hoping that we can have more opportunities for students to explore internships that they might not have been able to do because of maybe that employer is really far from campus, but that employer has innovated as best they can to create opportunities that can be done virtually, or that type of thing. So really trying to be optimistic about what's ahead, and really help employers think like that, so that college students can still get the same hands-on opportunities as they have before COVID-19.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, when working with and talking to our students individually and sometimes collectively through this, I think that while there are challenges working and being remote, this is really opening up worldwide opportunities to our students that they might not have considered before. Zoom and all of the platforms that we use really give opportunity that I think we didn't give enough credit to before. So, I think that if our students can practice resilience and really, focus on what they can control during this, build up your skills, build up your network, do some exploration during this time, they really will come out of this, with a lot of good things to move forward with.
No, I agree. I mean, if I were a college student and about to graduate or graduating soon, I would definitely use this experience as an example to show how resilient I am and how I've been able to adapt, and really sort of apply, this journey that we've kind of all gone through together in a way that actually makes me more employable, and have employers be more excited, because we know that people coming out of college oftentimes lead the way in the workplace in terms of innovation and technology and sort of comfort and change. So, I really encourage folks to think of it that way, and market themselves in that way as they look forward to opportunities, because I think it will differentiate a lot of folks as they look for opportunities, in the workforce.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So, question two, I hear you have some really exciting things going on with Focus Maine this summer, that will really provide our students with an opportunity to sharpen their skills and maybe build their network. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. So we partner with Focus Maine, which is an employer and higher ed initiative to grow jobs in Maine. And there's a lofty goal, which is great, to really increase the number of jobs over the next 10 years in especially some key sectors. And what we do is we partner with Focus Maine, and we run the internship component for that organization. So it's called the Focus Maine Intern Experience. Probably many of you folks listening have been a part of that in the past, which is awesome. We have a lot of University of Maine students that have participated in various summers. And it's really a summer program where we work with employers and augment what employers are able to offer. We know that sometimes small employers can't offer additional social experiences, professional development experiences, recreational experiences, in addition to the internship. But we know how essential it is to do that, to not only connect interns throughout the summer, but also make sure that those interns know what Maine has to offer. Because many students actually come to Maine just for an internship in the summer. They don't know anything about it, about our state. So what we do is we convene all the different interns in these different experiences all throughout the summertime, and help provide great opportunities for them. For this summer, because of COVID-19 and some of the changes in the internship environment, we know that some employers are still moving ahead to either in-person or online internships. Others have scaled back, but we want to make sure that means students still have all these opportunities. So we've opened up the Focus Maine Intern Experience program so that any offering that we have that's done virtually throughout the summer, so sort of from the beginning of June through the end of August, we're going to be opening up to any Maine student. So even if you're not in an internship right now, or maybe even you just graduated from the university, but you want to learn more about, how to market yourself on LinkedIn, or you want to be able to have some direct access to some of Maine's CEOs to talk about some of their industries, or you want to, participate in a discussion about a particular topic, in terms of, working with, for example, early career professionals and learning about that first year in the workplace. All of those different webinars and online offerings are going to be open to any student in Maine. I will make sure that the University of Maine has all the different schedules and links so that you folks get all that. But just know that even if you're not in a formal internship, you can still participate in these programs. And we're doing this to augment, to support the work of the career advisors at each one of the universities. And it's an opt-in process. So you can opt into the ones you're interested in, and take advantage of them, because we know that getting your first job and even getting internships is so relationship-based. So we want to make sure that you're still meeting, even if it's virtually, other interns, other employers, other leaders across Maine, because we can do much of that still, even if we're not in person. And as things change and improve, and we're able to do larger in-person events, we'll certainly keep all of those events as well communicated with the career staff so that you can take advantage of it moving forward. So we're excited about that, and just really encourage you to consider those opportunities to take advantage of, even if you're not in a traditional internship right now, because they all will provide you with a stronger network, additional skills, and sometimes direct connections to employers where you can get offers in the future.
So this, I have to tell you, is the most exciting thing when you told me about this that I've heard in a long time, to be honest. A lot of our students are finding that their internship plans for the summer aren't necessarily what they thought that they were. And students, this is something that show the initiative, sign up, show up, network, learn something new. This is how you can tell your story of resilience, and kind of putting in the work during this difficult time. Sometimes, especially, when we look at the state of Maine, it's a small state. We're all connected. This is planned happenstance, like we talk about all the time with our students. Sometimes it's literally being curious enough to show up, to meet the right person, to open the right door, and you might end up in a place that you didn't even know existed as far as your career. So I think this is a golden opportunity for our students. We will certainly post, the schedules and whatever it is that you have on our website, but I would encourage students also to check out your website, Educate Maine. I'm assuming that you'll have everything on there as well.
We sure will, yeah. And what we're excited about is that by doing this in the summertime, we want to make sure that if there are internships available in the fall and in the spring and the following summer, to be honest, that the students that are participating in our program that are meeting all these employers will have an edge to getting those opportunities, for the fall and for the following summer. So, because many of the employers actually do offers, as you folks probably know, in October and November, so for the following summer. So they plan really far ahead and want to make sure that our Maine students can get all the competitive advantages as they can through these opportunities.
That's great. That's so exciting. Thank you so much for opening that up to all of our students, and we will certainly pass on the info. Question number 3, as a career counselor, I'm always interested in this. What was your undergrad major? How did you find your way to your position now? So can you just maybe talk a little bit about your career path? I think students are always interested in finding out how people kind of land where they are.
Yeah, no, happy to chat about it. It's definitely not a linear kind of path into this occupation. I didn't necessarily think when I was in middle school or high school, like, oh, I want to run an education nonprofit. That's what I'm aspiring to do. But that's what I'm doing now, and I love it. So I grew up in Central Maine in a really small town, much like I'm sure many of you listening. And I knew that in order, small town, not a lot of money, you know what I mean? Like college to me was expensive, and it was hard to kind of put all those resources together to pay for, but I did, and I knew that was really important. And I know many of you folks are in that same situation. I went to the University of Maine at Farmington for my undergrad degree. I was really interested in I was really pretty good at English and interested in it. And then I grew up in a family of teachers. So I was like, okay, how do I combine what I love about sort of what I see with teaching with this love of English? So I so I had an undergrad major in secondary education English. So basically to be certified as a middle school or high school English teacher. Small school at Farmington, loved it. And then as part of my student teaching experience, obviously you're placed at a couple of schools.
Mhm.
The school that I was placed at was Maine Central Institute, which is in Pittsfield, not too far from campus. But what I loved about it is it had so many diverse students by race, by country of origin, by interest, et cetera. And I was so excited to still be working in Central Maine as my student teaching, but be able to work with students from China, from Korea, from Spain, as well as local students that had very similar stories that I did. So that's where I started my professional career. I was hired there. And as an English teacher, and then later as a guidance counselor. So basically I went from student teaching right into working full-time at MCI. I stayed there for about 12 years. And it kind of had a whole number of roles from teaching English up through being the Dean of Academics, and being more in administration. I got my master's at USM in educational leadership, and part-time, commuting, taking a couple classes at a time.
Mhm.
And then I started my doctorate because I just loved school. So I know that's not true for everybody necessarily, or not everyone sees kind of this long path. But at the time, I really wanted to keep pushing myself. And I went to Northeastern actually for my doctorate. And that was part-time at first, and then became full-time as I moved into my dissertation. And that was the time where I kind of opened up and thought about, okay, what would life look like if I didn't work in a traditional high school? What if I did something larger where I worked with lots of schools? And that's where I transitioned after getting my doctorate to Educate Maine, because I wanted to work with a whole bunch of different schools, work on educational policy, really work in the most neediest counties in terms of underserved schools, that type of thing. So even though I've always been connected to education, I've had a lot of different roles kind of along the way, and really been open to kind of new experiences. It sort of said yes, when it made sense. Yep, I'd love to work at a school that has so many diverse students. I'd love to, be in a doctorate program or to run a nonprofit, and just kind of gone along for the ride, and really enjoyed the experiences moving forward. So just really encourage folks to not to feel like you have to kind of stay in one path. I think every couple of years, I think most people want a different challenge, and whether that's a challenge in the same field, or maybe a different field or a connected field, just really encourage you to explore, just like I'm sure many of you are doing in your undergrad experience. I think that holds true also for your career experience as well. It's just being open, trying new things, seeing what you like, what you don't, and having your values and goals sort of drive your decisions.
Absolutely. So you found your way back to Maine. Was that always the goal, or did it just kind of fall into place that way?
It fell into place. I once I was finishing my doctorate, I was looking at opportunities all throughout New England, I applied for the opportunity to Educate Maine, and this was before I became the executive director. This was a program position originally,
Mhm.
and it just felt right. And it was very different than working as sort of a high school principal. Um,
Absolutely.
and I just went with it, and I've been very happy with the experience, and met so many great people. So my network is really large right now. Which I think is really something I didn't realize I needed to do as a young person, is sort of
Mhm.
keep working on your network. I just thought that happened naturally, but it is something that I prioritize as a professional, because that's how, at least in Maine and probably many states, where you learn about new opportunities, and learn about new risks that you're able to take, to kind of push yourself. It's mostly through the people that you meet along the way, and just being open to, you know, having coffee with someone, and learning about their profession and kind of where they work, or connecting on them with them through LinkedIn, and saying, "Oh, I noticed you wrote this article on LinkedIn. You posted about this experience. I'd love to chat with you more about it." But those little things have helped me advance professionally, over time. And when I was younger, I didn't understand that was important. And as I'm older now, I try really hard to make sure that networking piece, both virtually and in person, is a huge part of the work that I do, because that's where opportunities come.
And it sounds like you're paying that forward and really providing that opportunity for students in Maine, which is great. Okay, one bonus question.
Sure.
I think we have a minute left. This has probably gone long, but it's just been such an interesting conversation. We've talked a lot. There's a lot of talk in the news about, heroes in our society, and we talk about people in healthcare. But since you have a background in education, do
Mhm.
you have a favorite teacher in your past that you can share? Someone that really inspired you that you still kind of remember?
Yeah, certainly my favorite. One of my favorite teachers was by the name of Dr. Alice Bolstridge. She was an English teacher, a high school English teacher, and she was really, really hard and pushed me really, really hard, to be honest. But she was the teacher that helped me become a much better writer and reader and a better speaker. And at a time where I wrote essays, I did my assignments, that type of thing, but I didn't have a love of writing before I took her class. So I took her class in high school. It really changed the trajectory of my goals as I came out of high school and into college. Um, I think I think oftentimes, obviously, favorite teachers are always, based on relationships, but they're also based on how much they're able to push you and make you better and stronger. And she's someone that certainly did that to me, and I'm just grateful for that. That I not only, admire my relationship with her and sort of the collegiality and that we have now as adults, but also at the time as a high school student, she was someone that knew that I could do better and pushed me to be better, and I'm just grateful for that because that's what I try to do as best I can professionally to other people, knowing that the stronger leaders are the ones that kind of lift everybody up and make them better, along the way. 'Cause she,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would have two answers for this. The first one I would say is all of my children's teachers right now. I have an elementary school child, a middle school child, and a high schooler. And my goodness, those teachers are working around the clock in really tough conditions, raising their own kids and teaching everyone else's from home. So that would be my first. And my other one would be my third grade teacher, Mrs. Pierce. And for many of the same reasons. So she was really tough. But the cool thing, kind of thinking back to it, so I'm from Aroostook County. I grew up in Mars Hill, very, very, very small community, and kind of kiddos, from the whole socioeconomic spectrum. And she was able, thinking back about my time in her class, she was really able to look at every single student in her class and pull out what it is that they needed and what it is that they excelled at, and really kind of bring that to the forefront. So, what I remember about her is the opportunities that she would bring to our class. So, I mean, she had us entering contests for bookmarks for Earth Day, for posters for Dental Health Month, just any opportunity that was out there, she wanted us to be involved and to see that we had those skills. And today, as a retired teacher, I think she taught for about 40 years. She is on Facebook and she is connected with all of her former students. And it must take her hours and hours a week to just comment on everybody's pictures and compliment their families. And, I think even in retirement, she still has such an impact and is still kind of highlighting people's strengths and what they bring to the table. And I think that's really cool. So,
yeah, no, we work so closely with so many teachers and school administrators and higher ed staff right now, and it's just amazing
yeah.
how much time, energy, and effort everybody's putting in to make sure that students are still persisting and they're engaging. And yes, some of that's about content, but most of it is about relationships and connection, and kind of making sure that we're all kind of in this together, and making sure that on the other side of this that we'll all be stronger, moving forward. So I just definitely agree with you, and I'm just it's an honor to know so many great teachers, really from early learning, early childhood on through, because they're all adapting and changing so much right now, to still engage with students, even when many of those students don't have access to the internet. It's just amazing stories of teachers driving to students' houses and holding up signs and calling them on the phone and things like that. So
Absolutely.
amazing.
Well, I have enjoyed my time with you so much. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us. Again, students, Educate Maine is the website. Focus Maine internships for this summer. You can
Yeah.
participate in a lot of their programming virtually. So we'll make sure to get that information from you and post it on our website. Have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you Monday. Thank you, Jason.
Great. Thank you.